Thank you for joining us for another exciting edition of Jamaica Magazine. I'm your host, Audrey Williams. It's Friday, the welcome wagon for the weekend. So unwind and hold on for the journey because we do have a treat in store for you. Today we look at one of Jamaica's top performers in the education sector and how you may safeguard yourself whenever you visit a website. Don't go anywhere. All this and more when we return.
Good day, I'm Stephen McHugh, and this is your JIS News for Friday, October 21, 2022. Jamaica's tourism economic recovery is now 99% complete as the country is anticipating a strong increase in arrivals for the winter season. Portfolio Minister Edmund Bartlett gave the update during Wednesday's sitting of the House of Representatives.
What is the exciting element of recovery is the revenue that we have earned, and that we are anticipating a record $4.2 billion revenue from tourism in the fiscal year 22-23, and that will exceed the 2019 earnings by some $500 million.
He says cruise tourism is improving consistently and will be back on track for the 2023-24 financial year.
We were able to enable a full recovery of a number of the itineraries that we had, and I'm to report to the House that we will be having just a little over 1 million packs this Christmas into the middle of next year from two of our major cruise lines that operate in Jamaica. And the third one is giving us double the number of calls that we will have.
Jamaica welcomed approximately 1.6 million cruise passengers in 2019. The Ministry of Education and Youth has launched an initiative aimed at ending violence in schools. The year-long campaign, dubbed Just Meds It, seeks to shift the culture of violent confrontations and responses among children and students and equip them with conflict resolution strategies that are peaceful and healthy. During the launch on Wednesday, Education Minister Favour Williams invited non-governmental organizations, NGOs, the private sector, community and faith-based groups to partner with the ministry on the initiative.
And we want a national call to action for educators, parents, students, and the general public to take personal and collective responsibilities to end violence in schools.
She says Just Meds It will employ a multifaceted approach, and the ministry intends to consolidate its human and financial resources in executing the campaign.
By improving the physical infrastructure, by teaching and incentivizing strategies for resolving conflict peacefully, by providing psychosocial support to students and parents, utilizing the creative arts to maximize whole school engagement throughout the campaign, introduction of character education programs in school. We want to promote a culture of pro-social behaviors among students.
The minister adds that expansion of the uniformed groups in schools, clubs and societies is also a key intervention under the program. A public education campaign will be conducted for the duration of the program, and benchmark indicators will be established to determine the efficacy of the initiative. Regional food manufacturers are being encouraged to get accredited under a new JANAC accreditation scheme and gain market access for food export to the United States. The Jamaica National Agency for Accreditation was recognized under the United States Food and Drug Administration US FDA-accredited third-party certification program in June. It enables the agency to accredit food certification bodies to conduct FDA audits and certify food facilities. Minister of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Aubin Hill, says while the ministry is working to create the best environment to increase exports, businesses also need to fine-tune their operations to give themselves the best chance in the very competitive international marketplace. JANAC accredited certification can be used for expedited entry of food products into the United States, once deemed eligible to participate in the Voluntary Qualified Importer Program. Jamaica has strengthened its position as a major player in the medical cannabis industry by formalizing arrangements for import, export, transit, and transshipment to other countries that are also signatories to the international drug conventions. This following gazetting of the dangerous drugs cannabis import, export, transit, and transshipment regulations. In a statement from the Ministry of Industry, Investment and Commerce, Senator Auburn Hill says this development positions Jamaica to further capitalize on the lucrative medical cannabis market. He reveals that in anticipation of the regulations being passed, the Cannabis Licensing Authority, CLA, held ongoing consultations with key border regulatory agencies and other entities. The CLA also crafted standard operating procedures to manage cannabis import and export, including officers from the authority being on site to monitor all exports and ensure there is no inversion or diversion of ganja. Interim CEO of the CLA, Dania Ashpole, says the authority will also continue working with stakeholders to finalize regulations for the cultivator's transitional special permit. This should allow for more inclusiveness of small farmers in the industry and the establishment of regulations for hemp. Jamaica authorized its first illegal transshipment of cannabis in February this year, where a consignment of cannabis was moved from St. Vincent and the Grenadines through Jamaica to Germany. 94 post offices island-wide have been connected to the internet as government continues to expand the incorporation of information and communications technology, ICT, in the postal service. Minister of Science, Energy and Technology Darrell Vaz provided an update at the recent reopening of the renovated Central Sorting Office on South Camp Road in Kingston. He says the transformation of Jamaica's postal service aligns with the realities of the global sector.
With these connections, post offices are able to offer and expand commercial services, example, bill payments and conduct point-of-sale transactions. Remove dependence on other post offices to enter tracking information for services offering the tracking features, for example, zip mail, and reduce transaction processing time for counter services, thereby eliminating long wait by customers.
To further the modernization efforts, he says the ministry will conduct a full assessment of the country's postal market.
The consultancy will analyze and define Jamaica's postal market and make policy recommendations for the possible structuring and regulation of Jamaica's postal market.
And finally, Minister without portfolio in the Office of the Prime Minister, Robert Morgan, is reiterating that the Broadcasting Commission's recent restriction on illicit content is not about banning music, but setting standards. He again addressed the matter during the Broadcasting Commission's Strategic and Operational Planning Retreat held at Ocean Coral Spring Hotel in Trelawney. The minister, who has responsibility for the information portfolio, says the entity has a responsibility to manage the country's free-to-air radio, television, and information portals in a way that greatly shapes the psychology and perspective of the Jamaican people.
This is the standard that the people, the country of Jamaica has set. You as a parent can look and say, that's the roadmap. That is what we want as a society. This is how our society should be framed. This is how our children should be socialized. This is how our radio and television should function.
The Broadcasting Commission recently announced a restriction on content transmitted through radio, television, or cable services of any audio or video recording, live song, or speech that promotes and glorifies illicit activities such as scamming, drug abuse, and gun violence. And that's it for JIS News Today. I'm Stephen McHugh. Thanks for watching.
Every year at the National Honors and Awards Ceremony, we celebrate the achievements and efforts of remarkable Jamaicans from all sectors. Over 200 Jamaicans were so recognized during this year's Heroes Day function. In our next feature, we will spotlight one of those awardees, a woman who has devoted her time and skills to the education sector.
I am a person who challenges don't really
mean much. I love challenges.
And that mantra has led 36-year contributor to the education sector, Theda Faulkner Brooks, to being recognized in the 2022 National Honors and Awards ceremony with a badge of honor for long and faithful service. The daughter of St. Elizabeth is presently serving as bursar at Clarendon College. But her contribution to the sector began in 1986 as a clerical assistant at what is now the Sydney Pagan STEM Academy.
Her work ethics were exceptional. Her level of professionalism reflects in all areas. Just the pride that she takes in her job to accomplish it by dotting the I's, crossing the T's. She just believed in accuracy.
Buoyed by her growth at Sydney Pagan, Mrs. Brooks sought out and secured the position of bursar at Clarendon College.
It was 2,025 students, right, with a staff of 95. So it's a bigger school in comparison to a school with 25 teachers and 270 students. I started working the 1st of October, 1996. Vividly, I remember it was a Wednesday. And when I came, traditionally, it's always a male at Clarendon College. So I came from 7. And I walked down the school. Nobody knew me, was not introduced as yet to the staff. So I went down the school and I heard one of the auxiliary men said, me hear say I want a woman to come here, but can't work out tonight, can't work out. When the principal called me now to be introduced to, right in the hall here, to be introduced to the auxiliary first. And I mentioned what I heard down school. The person was shocked. So I said to the person, don't worry. The proof of the pudding is in the eating. I remember one teacher passed by the office and said, Lord, the milk not even come off our mouth yet. Honestly, and I laughed. Needless to say that every category of staff comes with their own challenge. Some make friends out of you and some make enemies of you. But somebody is always coming to say something that really makes your day.
With her great work ethic and unwavering commitment to satisfy the demands of her profession, Mrs. Brooks demonstrated to the Clarendon College community the significance of making one's presence known.
Mrs. Brooks has been with Clarendon College for over 25 years, 27 years to be exact. And as bursar of the school, she has contributed tremendously to our growth and development. I've been here for 15 of our 27 years. And in terms of her support to me as principal, I am happy for the person I found in her. She doesn't restrict herself only to curtailing spending, but where spending has to be done, she is going to ensure that is spent in the best way possible.
If it is not captured on a requisition, then we have nothing to substantiate this principal's signature saying that we ordered items.
In the school setting, if you don't have a bursar who is thoughtful and who seeks to ensure that we get value for money in terms of how we spend in our system, then we have challenges.
Usually you don't find persons who are in her post walking around the place and doing their checks and balances.
I don't know if you're aware of the role of a bursar, but the role of a bursar takes in every known thing, from being a groundsman right up to be the financial controller of the school. You're called upon for everything. It's not just to balance the book, it's to balance the book
when there is no money. Can you imagine balancing the book when there is no money? And because I love what I do, it was not a problem for me.
Mrs. Brooks, I want you to continue to persevere and excel, as our school motto says. Persevere and continue to excel.
And I want to encourage her to continue the same vein that others may emulate her work attitude and work ethic.
Just want to say to her, be proud of yourself. You deserve this and more. I am extremely happy to know that your hard work has not gone unnoticed.
Obey the school rules. The rules are there to ensure discipline. The rules are there to ensure that our children focus on their education. And so if the school says it's brown shoes, not black, we want you to make that investment on behalf of your child. If the school says a tie, please don't send your child without a tie. I know that there are a lot of pressures on you as parents, but we are continuing to ask you to make that investment in your child. We want our schools to be incident-free this school year, and we can only do that with the cooperation of our parents, our teachers, the staff, everyone in the community.
Cyber attacks are unwanted attempts to steal, expose, alter, disable, or destroy information by gaining unauthorized access to computer systems. As technology advances and platforms become more user-friendly, we must safeguard the information we exchange on the internet. Our next feature will explain how.
Cybersecurity trends, though ever-changing, are a constant in today's society, even more so due to the increased usage of technology to attend school, conduct meetings, carry out work tasks, and basic day-to-day necessities.
There are a lot of trends out there, but as far as the online space, phishing is one of the enduring challenges out there, and the trend these days is to actually utilize COVID-19 resource sites as a platform from which to launch these attacks. They look very much like the official sites for a lot of these companies, and if you're really not wary, you will actually not realize that there are subtle changes such as misspellings, such as a graphic that is not where it should be.
So phishing, what really is it? According to our research, it is a type of social engineering attack often used to steal your user data, including login credentials and credit card numbers. As Lieutenant Colonel Sterling just explained, the hackers can replicate a trusted website. They can even trick you into opening malicious emails and messages. Once you do this, by clicking the link attached, you could very well be giving the hackers access to your private information, so be careful.
Additionally, we've seen an uptick in ransomware, and this is where this usually starts as part of a phishing campaign, and when you have fallen victim, the end result is that the attacker gains access to either your device or your network, and they encrypt your files and ask for ransom. But we're also seeing an increase in cryptojacking. This is where hackers will actually steal your cryptocurrencies and they will take them to exchanges and cash out. So as Jamaicans become more adept at buying cryptocurrency and supporting our own digital currency issued by the central bank, they have to be more wary of some of the pitfalls of cryptojacking online. Now, we have seen also a good trends where the use of HTTPS for web-facing resources has increased by about 174% within the region. We have also seen a downward trend in malware infections because more persons are installing antivirus and anti-malware software and are generally becoming more responsible in their use. The need for security, if you really measure it, is costly, but the existence of a lack of security can be even more costly. Now, for the individual, there are free apps within the Google Play Store or the Apple App Store that you can use to help to secure your devices. And sometimes for a nominal cost, there are some that you can also use that will do a better job. Now, what works for you is really going to be up to what you do online and the devices that you have. But the risk of not having any protection at all is one that cannot necessarily have a dollar value placed to it. If your device gets encrypted by ransomware, what is the cost of it? Do you have backups? So that's another thing that you need to do, to back up your device, not just the settings, but also your data on the device. It is very easy to get pirated software or so-called free software from some download sites and torrents, but usually they come with unwelcome and hidden residents that will take over your devices and will sometimes cause you grief. So while it does have a cost attached to it, you have to do the cost-benefit analysis. What is the cost of not having security versus having security? And I can almost assure you that when you really do it, the cost of security will work out way cheaper than not having security.
October is observed as World Menopause Month to raise awareness of this stage in a woman's life when she stops menstruating. The designation is to help women understand the possible health issues associated when approaching, during, and after menopause. As we join the mission, our next feature allows you a front row view to one woman's experience.
Just yesterday, you were living the days of your youth. And today, things are a little different. Well, considerably different. That's because you're well into your midlife stage.
The reality of biology is perhaps pulling the thought of menopause much closer to your cerebrum than ever before, while taking with it thoughts of apprehension and quite possibly trepidation.
Some may fear the hot flashes, others the rumored weight gain, but the menopausal journey of every woman isn't told in the exact same way. Still, our health responses to this new chapter in life can be similar.
Menopause is actually a naturally occurring phase in a woman's life, and it happens when your ovaries, which is the female sex organs, when their function decreases. In order for you to make the diagnosis, 12 consecutive months have had to pass without the period.
The journey comes in stages, and getting to the final could mean an increased risk of health conditions like osteoporosis. So amplifying information, knowledge, and responses about menopause is significant for all women.
So there are 3 main stages of the menopause, right? You have the perimenopause, which is before the actual menopause, the menopause, and post-menopause, which is after. So the perimenopause, also called the climacteric, is the period during which the ovarian function begins to slow down. And so these women now will start to have a slowing down of their periods. This is when the hot flashes will begin, insomnia, mood changes like irritability. And this period typically starts on average at about age 47 and a half.
We're about to meet Joan, who is well into her 40s. And while Joan understands that menopause is certain, what was happening inside her body was nothing she could ever prepare for.
I'm now perimenopausal, and I realized that my body was changing, menstruating became irregular, and this was constant, and it came at a time when it should not have come. So I had to visit the doctor. And she says, maybe it's stress. So I thought that, okay, it is because of the stress. But it continued. It never stopped, and I'm seeing it for months, and then it picked up speed and became aggressive. My menstrual cycle became aggressive and wouldn't stop. Then I became anemic. And so the doctors were getting very concerned. It was not confirmed until after many tests. My dysmenorrhea was overriding the injections and the tablets that were given. So they were very concerned. So they have to be checking pancreas, liver, a lot of things. I went through procedures. I was the one who started doing a journal, start picking up my different changes, my moods. I realized that my cycle, it just stopped, and the doctor confirmed at that time that it's early menopause I was going through.
Then when you get to the period now of the menopause, this is now where there have been 12 consecutive months of no period. That now you can say, okay, this is the menopause. Postmenopausally now, so this would be after there has been 12 months of no period. Fortunately, the symptoms begin to wane. You know, they begin to improve, although not necessarily disappear. They can be up to for 5 years after, and in the minority of women, up to 10 years thereafter.
We've come to the end of our program. Get a recap of all you saw here and more on our website at www.jis.gov.jm. From all of us here at the JIS, I'm Audrey Williams. Bye for now.
This has been a production of the Jamaica Information Service, the voice of Jamaica.